World Games ever. More than 9,000 soldiers from over 100 countries are participating in this year's games.
And also joining us in the studio is the founder of Score Sports, Yan Jiang. And together we'll be talking about this magnificent ceremony and also a full look at this event. And now we're counting down to the opening ceremony, which will begin in less than half an hour. But first, let's take a look at this. Just ahead of the opening ceremony, Chinese President Xi Jinping has met with military and defense officials from participating countries. He also met with officials of the International Military Sports Council. Xi says the theme of this year's games, military glory, world peace, expresses hope that the athletes from different countries can display sportsmanship and bridge cultural diversity. Xi also said China will ensure to make the games an international gathering of peace and mutual learning among diverse cultures.
And witnessing firsthand the preparations leading up to these military games and the opening ceremony this evening, we've got CGTN's very own Mike Fox. He's on the ground in the host city itself. Mike, welcome. It's a big day for Wuhan. Describe to us, please, the atmosphere there right now.
Hi guys, yeah, I'm sorry to say I'm not actually inside the stadium for the opening ceremony, but I'm delighted to be by the Yangtze River, China's largest river, of course, stretching at 6,300 kilometers. When I came up here to take my position to talk to you guys, I was greeted by the same sight that I saw yesterday evening. I'm talking about this fantastic light show you can see behind me. It's also going on to my right and going on to my left. It is truly amazing, truly majestic. It keeps taking my breath away. I can't help but just wander off and look at it wherever I am in this beautiful tower. It's absolutely fantastic. My words do not do it justice. I mean, you see the different images, the illustrations that are projected onto these skyscrapers overlooking the river. Honestly, it's just one of the most amazing things that I've ever seen. Truly breathtaking. You may remember back in May, to mark Labor Day, Wuhan held a light show which actually turned out to be the biggest of all time. And now with the military games here, I think we're going to see something similar going along this stretch of road here, which covers the river. Absolutely amazing stuff. The city itself is obviously in a fantastic mood, welcoming, as you just said there, more than 9,000 athletes from 103 different countries and regions. Officials, of course, and athletes all descending upon the city. There is a real buzz about the place, I have to admit. It's, of course, an event which is founded by its sporting competition. Unlike the Olympics, we're going to have some military themed games as well. I'm talking about the military, naval, and as well as more pentathlons, stuff like that. Absolutely fantastic stuff. And I think Wuhan in general is just a city that's on the rise. You know, the boost to the local economy in the past few years, as well as this event, have really put the place on the map. And I think when you walk around the city, if you just go out for something to eat or drink, then you can talk to the locals. They're always wanting to have a word with me, asking me what I'm doing here, where I'm from, how I'm enjoying this city. And of course you see the images, the posters for the military games as well. They've put a lot of money and infrastructure into promoting this event, and you might have seen a little blue fish dotted around different parts of the city. His name is Bing Bing. I actually have him here with me. He's just joined me now, actually, decked out in full military gear. He's actually a Chinese sturgeon, and his birthday is in November, November 2017, the same month that Wuhan was awarded the military game. And he enjoys parachuting and shooting. I mean, not very typical for a fish, is it really? He's a bit shy, but sometimes he does say the odd thing to me. Yep. He says, Wong Wong Wong, you look absolutely beautiful, and Greg, nice hair. See? So he is a friendly little soul, of course, but I'll put him back for now. But now I'm delighted to say we're joined by Tang Bo, who's in the stadium gearing up for the national games. Tang Bo, thanks for joining us. First of all, tell us what the atmosphere is like where you are.
Hi Michael, I'm right now at the southwest balcony on the second floor of the main stadium, and as you can see behind me that the performers are now on their way to the huge wide stage right in the middle of the stadium. And in less than 30 minutes, the opening ceremony of the 7th Military World Games will kickoff right there behind me. Now, over 54,000 spectators from around the world have gathered here, looking forward to seeing the opening ceremony. And I saw the rehearsal the other day. I would say it was very impressive and jaw-dropping. So tonight's opening ceremony will be much better, of course. And we arrived here in the stadium at around 3:30 in the afternoon, and there were some warming-up performances featuring the local folk culture, and started around 4:45, lasted about 2 hours. And earlier on the stage, there were some people still working there, doing some final check of the performance facilities such as lighting, audio, projection, wires, and pulleys. And now performers are ready, as you can see, and also spectators are well seated, and the stage is ready, breezy, beautiful, waiting for its moment. Mike.
Now, you've seen the rehearsal, as you just mentioned. I haven't. I saw bits of the dance rehearsal a couple of days ago when I was just walking around the stadium. It does look like it's going to be quite the show, I have to say. But since you've seen the rehearsal, don't give too much away, but can you tell us what kind of thing we should expect from it?
Of course. Everyone here will get this opening ceremony program. All the procedures and performances will be listed on it. And according to it, which is also very different from what we used to see at the previous Olympic Games opening ceremonies, where the athlete parade usually came after the performance. But this time, the parade of the athlete will go first. So military athletes from 109 countries will walk through the stadium. And of course, right after that, there will be flag raising ceremony, and also remarks will be delivered by the leaders of the International Military Sport Council and also the leaders of the Games Organizing Committee. And there will also, according to the program list, there will also be a video message from Mr. Thomas Bach, President of the International Olympic Committee. And of course, Chinese President Xi Jinping is expected to declare that the games open at the ceremony. And talking about performances tonight, I would say it will be characterized by a large scale of projection and also stage mechanism, as well as a lot of wire works. For example, 180 projectors will create 20,000 square meters of projection on the ground, and 6,000 of that in the air, the largest ever of its kind in the world. And of course, there were a lot of wire works. That means there will be great presentation in the stage, above the stage, in the stadium, hanging up there. So very impressive, very much looking forward to seeing that. And also the water, the element of water will go through the entire opening ceremony, and you guys will definitely be amazed by how the director is going to play with the water. I would love to tell you more about the opening ceremony, but I have to stop right here. Stay tuned on our special coverage of the opening ceremony tonight. Back to you, Mike.
Thank you very much, Tang Bo. That's CGTN's Tang Bo at the stadium, gearing up for the opening ceremony. Now, you might not have heard of the military games before it came to Wuhan. That's because in the grand scheme of things, it's actually very much in its infancy. At the first one in Rome, China actually sent a very small delegation, but this one on home soil, they are sending the largest delegation in its history.
553 members of the People's Liberation Army will represent China in Wuhan in 24 sports events and 2 performance events, in addition to golf events. The delegation is the biggest of all participating countries this year and is a record number for China. Since the first Military World Games, China's been in the top 3 on the medal table. Swimming brought China the most gold during the last Games in 2015, followed by Taekwondo, track and field, and parachuting. The most exciting event, the military pentathlon, includes shooting, an obstacle run, obstacle swimming, throwing, and cross-country running. China's August 1st military pentathlon team has won over 100 gold medals in international games, and more than 60 athletes have broken world records. Hopes are high for Wu Qian, who is making her debut in the Military World Games. Over the past 3 years, she's won 5 gold medals in international military pentathlon competition. Wang Lianying, the 1994 shooting gold medalist, said the secret of successive victories in the military pentathlon is keeping the spirit of fighting in war, both in training and in competition.
Good stuff. Now, when hosting an event of this size, obviously venues, stadiums, stuff like that are always needed. Sometimes they already exist in the particular city, and sometimes they need to be built from scratch. CGTN Sui Tui Ao explains.
For the first time in the history of the Military World Games, all events would take place in one city. A total of 35 venues will be used for what's dubbed the Olympics for military personnel. 13 of them are brand new, while most are located in local universities and colleges.
I'm right now standing at the Wuhan Sports Center. This is a world-class, newly built venue that includes a 30,000-seat stadium, a gymnasium, and a swimming center.
The main stadium is the centerpiece of the games. The structure is surrounded by 72 supporting frames with no support point from inside. The steel roof is more or less suspended in the air, meaning everyone in the crowd will have an unimpeded view.
刚刚来到这片场地的时候，它是一片荒芜。
This stadium will host track and field events. It started from scratch and took 700 days to build. We want to present the best experience for athletes and viewers.
在看比赛的同时，
While the indoor venues like this one are cool and spacious, organizers made sure the whole city's natural beauty and charm were also on display.
How nice would it be for athletes to run their marathons and bicycle near the famous East Lake? It's like competing amid the beauty of nature.
In addition, more than 500 5G base stations were put in place, offering services such as virtual reality drones and navigation and unmanned shuttles. The legacy of the games has also been carefully managed, with plans for most of the venues to be converted into facilities for both the elites and the public in the future. After all, Wuhan wants to host the games that not only breaks records, but is also sustainable. 楚慧瑶 CGTN 武汉
So the stage is set. While you guys continue with the show, I'm going to enjoy the opening ceremony, watch some fireworks, enjoy the lights, and eat some noodles as well, I think. From me and Bing Bing, it's back to you guys.
Well, since you're not in the stadium, Mike, you'll probably have to watch the opening ceremony on CGTN on air or follow us on the CGTN app. Thanks so much for that, Mike. And please stay tuned for more on this Military World Games right after this break.
Military glory.
军人荣耀。
军人荣耀。
世界和平。
World peace.
Welcome back to our special coverage of the opening ceremony of the Military World Games, the 7th edition that is about to officially begin in Wuhan. Now we're going to take a brief look back at the history of the event.
The Military World Games, organized by the International Military Sports Council, happens every 4 years. Also known as the Olympics of the military, these aren't your average sporting games. Featuring events like the Naval Pentathlon, Military Pentathlon, Aeronautical Pentathlon, Orienteering, and Parachuting. The first games were held in 1995 in Rome, Italy, in commemoration of the 50th anniversary of World War II and the signing of the UN Charter. Over 4,000 military sportsmen from 93 countries and regions participated. The games were successfully held in Croatia, again in Italy, India, Brazil, and South Korea. The 7th Military World Games will be held in the city of Wuhan in central China's Hubei province. Wuhan won the bid to host the Games in Kuwait 2015. The Games will be the second largest sporting event to be held in China since the 2008 Summer Olympics.
And now to get some more analysis, I'm pleased to be joined here in our studio by Yan Jiang, the founder of Score Sports. Welcome to our special program, Mr. Yan. So the 7th Military World Games is going to kick off soon, and Wuhan is going to host the games this time. Tell us more about the host city. Why Wuhan? We know it's known as the city of 1,000 lakes, but tell us more about it. What makes it so special?
Wuhan is special in two senses. It's famous for all the great military tradition in China, in our revolutionary historical records. But also it's a famous sports town. Wuhan has a lot of great sports people for their excellence in all kinds of sports disciplines. So I think these 2 points, joined perfectly in this city. And geographically speaking, it's right in the center of China. And it's a key town in the Midwest development of the national development policy. And it's also right in the middle point of the Yangtze River, the Long River. It's perfect for any global events and for the city's own development.
And of course, this is a time for Wuhan to show its development in technology and also the hospitality industry. What kind of opportunities do you think this games have to offer to Wuhan?
Oh, I think it's a great chance. Maybe it's a golden chance for the massive city to renovate itself. I've been to Wuhan a lot of times. My hometown is quite close to Wuhan. I know it's a gigantic city, and its traffic has always been very challenging, not just for ours, even for the locals. This could be a perfect chance for them to renovate everything. And through our coverage of the preparation for this game, I think Wuhan is ready for a new era in its own history.
Now, Yan Jiang, many people, of course, will be familiar with the Olympic Games, the Asian Games, but perhaps they won't know the Military World Games as well, and this being only the 7th edition of this festival. So tell us what makes the Military Games special and different from some of those.
There are altogether 27 disciplines of sports in these games. Some are similar with the Summer Olympics, and there is also a winter edition of the Military World Games. But I want to point out those with the military characteristics would be more interesting for us to follow, like life-saving, like modern pentathlon, and especially naval pentathlon. That would be very interesting, very fresh for all sports fans, and even for sports fans, of military fans. It was the combination of these two things. Some are different than the traditional sports competition. You have to maybe carry a gun or carry a huge bag with some weight inside your bag to cross a river, to cross some difficult fields, to get yourself dirty, muddy. And it's a great challenge, a new challenge in a different sports sense. I think that would be even more interesting than traditional basketball and football games.
Well, the athletes will absolutely stage a thrilling competition there. And since you mentioned this, Yan Jiang, China will take part in this year's naval pentathlon for the first time. And the 5 events are obstacle course, life-saving swimming, utility swimming, seamanship, and amphibious cross-country. CGTN reporter Han Bin got exclusive access to Team China's training sessions to see how they are preparing.
Mulan Lake, on the campus of the Chinese Naval University of Engineering, is the venue for the naval pentathlon in Wuhan.
海军5项它更贴近于军事训练的一些科目，
是一个很富有军人热血，然后很富有一种挑战性的项目，意志力、拼搏，还有那种不服输的劲。
这5个项目能更好的概括海军实战训练的标准。
我们每天以高强度训练为主，算一种就是感觉心脏要跳出来的感觉。
其实真的形容不出来，但是每天反正回去就想躺在床上休息。
Though only 2 years old, the Naval Pentathlon team gives it their all in the training. athletes are pumped up at the prospect of glory. The games are a chance to show to the world a new image of a rising PLA Navy.
The venues are considered some of the best for competition. Chinese athletes will compete in this event for the first time. The naval pentathlon has individual and team competitions for men and women. Zhang Qingyue is one of the youngest on the team. He says the obstacle course integrates today's naval training.
女子项目加起来
Xie Ronghua says while the women's course is just over 200 meters, it's a huge test for their physical strength.
高度比较高嘛，然后如果是平常女孩子的话，我估计是不敢的。
通过运动员的跑跳能力啊、稳定性啊。
Coach Feng Yu says the naval pentathlon can help prepare sailors for actual combat situations.
既有比拼，也有学习。
比较希望通过这次军运会，能向外军学习他们的训练水平。
中国包容万象，军人更是包容万象。大家比赛上面见真章，但是大家来者都是客。
我们的目标就是展示我们海军武项的风采，展示我们海军的风采。
想展现的是中国军人的那种作风。
中国女兵并不是像你们想象中的那样，都是温室里的花朵。巾帼不让须眉吧。
In competition and life, China's naval pentathlon team is ready to take on all obstacles. Han Bin, CGTN.
Well, if you've just joined us, this is our special coverage of the opening ceremony of the Military World Games. It's going to start in about a few minutes. But before that, let's also talk to our studio guest, Mr. Yan Jiang, here in the studio. Now, of course, the Military World Games puts its emphasis on the spirit of sports and also military glory. So tell us more about this. How do these games really connect these two spirits together?
I think the utmost target of CISM as the organizing body of the World Military Games would be peace, friendship, and communication. I think, you know, all these more than 100 different delegation groups, they get together in Wuhan. They're not here for any battle, for any worship, but for sporty competition. This would create a great stage for them to communicate with each other, to build up their friendship, and also compete in a very friendly atmosphere. This would be perfect for the future of the world, I would say.
Mm-hmm. Now, what is the one theme that's essentially the same in terms of sports and the military?
I would say friendly competition in a quite healthy way, and of course they would pay great focus to a lot of team sports. And I would also personally would be greatly interested in how would they conduct, you know, the competition in basketball, in football, in volleyball. You know, I'm quite confident in China delegation group's performance in all individual sports because we have always been very strong in individual sports. But how about team sports? And how about the generation Z or the generation of the 2000, of the 90,000? Will they perform in all these different disciplines? Mm. That could give us a lot of evidence to know, to understand the military people of the future.
You are a veteran sports commentator. You've been covering a lot of the sports games in the past. How is this one different from the previous ones that you've covered?
I would consider all these participants to be more different. You know, different in the sense of their utility, you know, in their unity in team sports, in cooperation between individuals, and also those new disciplines, or those fresh disciplines for us, like life-saving pioneering. You know, I think this could be an eye-opener for me as well.
Sure. Well, Greg is our sports anchor. I want to get your thoughts on this. How is this one different from the previous sporting events that you've been following?
Well, like Yancheng said, of course, we're going to have an opportunity to see athletes performing in different ways. Like you said earlier, they're going to be getting dirty. They're not just swimming, but they'll be carrying weights. They'll be doing obstacle course swimming. So this is a visual feast not just for us watching, but it's a chance for these athletes to show their prowess in different ways.
Right, and we're now seeing some live feed from the city of Wuhan, the host city of the 7th Military World Games. Well, the opening ceremony is going to kick off in just a few minutes. Chinese President Xi Jinping will attend the event. And we can see it's really beautiful landscape in Wuhan. It's known as the city of 1,000 lakes. It has many historical and cultural heritage sites. Right. And it's also a major transportation hub in central China. It also boasts a lot of universities and colleges, also an education center in central China. Well, this World Military Games is also referred to as the Olympics for the military. Now, just to give you an idea of the size and scale of the 7th Military World Games, over 9,000 soldiers from more than 100 countries will take part in the competitions, making the event the largest in its history.
Earlier, Wang Meng, you mentioned all the fantastic developments that we've seen in recent years in Wuhan. It is a chance for the city to really show not just their technological development, but also the infrastructure. Just having this many guests to the city, making sure they can get around to the more than 30 different venues that these events will be taking place at is a huge feat. 329 events across 27 sports over the 10 days. The largest in the history, and this is also the first time in the history of the World Military Games that an athletes' village has been constructed especially for the athletes. So we've already heard from some of the delegations that have arrived praising China's development and the infrastructure that they've encountered here.
And sure, and right at the right side corner of our screen is the main stadium, the venue of the opening ceremony. And as we mentioned earlier, 329 events, 329 medals will be up for grabs at these games. And just a little background information for the accommodation of all these athletes. They have already started to worry about their weight because the canteens offer so many choices, different from various cuisines. And they can have like over 200 courses.
Well, Wuhan, of course, is also known for its food. So, right, when people aren't competing, perhaps they'll have a chance to get out to the downtown portion of the city and maybe sample some of these delicacies. Because, of course, one of the best parts of being an international athlete is sampling international culture and flavors.
Absolutely. And now we are seeing the audience as well as delegations are getting ready for the opening ceremony.
Ladies and gentlemen, please rise for His Excellency Xi Jinping, General Secretary of the CPC Central Committee, President of the People's Republic of China, and Chairman of the Central Military Commission.
女士们、先生们，请起立，让我们隆重有请中共中央总书记、中华人民共和国主席、中央军委主席习近平进入会场。
please be seated.
请坐。
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome the athletes of the 7th Season Military World Games.
女士们、先生们，欢迎第7届世界军人运动会运动员入场。
Albania,
阿尔巴尼亚、
Algeria,
阿尔及利亚、
Germany,
德国、
This is live feed from Wuhan, the host city of the Military World Games. And the athletes are now arriving at the main stadium. As I mentioned earlier, over 9,000 soldiers from more than 100 countries will take part in the competitions, making the event the largest in its history.
Angola, Saudi Arabia,
沙特阿拉伯、
Argentina,
阿根廷、
Armenia,
亚美尼亚、
Armenia is sending 17
Austria.
athletes to participate in 4 different competitions. The Austrian delegation consists of 39 athletes. The flagman is a wrestler. 29 athletes from the Azerbaijan team are going to compete in 4 different
Bahrain,
competitions.
Barbados,
巴巴多斯、
Barbados is sending 2 athletes to the games.
白俄罗斯、
And the size of the delegation really doesn't matter that much. It's the sports spirit that
Absolutely, yeah. Some
See the procession style, different delegated groups, very fine.
You know, in this whole ceremony.
Yes.
Some are very disciplined in a very military way, but quite a few are freestyle. And of the past 6 editions of Military World Games, Russia and China are leading in all the medal lists, whether it's the gold medal tally or the overall medal tally.
Yes.
And these are the 2
Bosnia and Herzegovina,
power nations in this
Russia's
competition.
is definitely one of the most decorated delegations in the games.
Maybe that's a great difference between the Summer Olympics and these Military World Games. You know, for nations like the USA and Germany, they're not really achieving according to our sporty status.
Of course.
Brazil,
巴西、
Now, Brazil is one of the strongest nations coming to these games as well. They were actually second place last year, second to Russia, with China, not last year, rather, in 2015 in Pyongyang, South Korea. They once came first place in the total number of golds back in the 5th games. They've sent a very large delegation, second only to host nation China's this year. So obviously their intent is to do well and to go home with
Exactly.
a lot of medals.
Brazil is sending 344 athletes to the games this time.
Yeah, and this delegation group is great in all these team sports. Whether what we in China call traditionally the big ball team sports like football, basketball, and the volleyball, they're really great in all these team sports.
Yes.
Burkina Faso,
法索。
Cameroon.
喀麦隆。
So we're expecting to see some top-notch athletes competing in 329 events at the Games. And the Games will run till
to the 27th. We've got 10 days of
10
events
days.
coming up. In fact, some of them have already started due to the duration of the tournament. This is common at the Olympic Games as well. Sports like women's volleyball and football have already begun because they're a bit longer. So we've already seen that. In fact, China's already won 2 matches in straight sets, showing their dominance in women's volleyball.
Yes.
Also among these athletes, we should mention that 118 of them are listed in the top 8 in the Rio Olympic Games. 67 of them have won world championships. So we don't just have soldier athletes here, we've got some of the best athletes in their given sports in the world competing at these games, who of course did not quit their day job as soldiers.
And there are some disciplines which I would say are as good as the Olympic Games, like shooting. You know, you've got all those greatest, maybe the greatest shooters from the world to compete.
Cyprus.
塞浦路斯。
Cyprus is sending the delegation consisting of 8 athletes. They are expected to compete in 4 events. Colombia is sending 33 athletes.
Republic of the Congo.
刚果共和国。
The Republic of Congo is sending 18 athletes.
Democratic Republic of the Congo.
刚果民主共和国。
Republic of Korea.
韩国。
We are seeing South Korea's delegation. South Korea hosted the last Military World Games. And they are sending 175 athletes this time, participating in parachuting, swimming, table tennis, and triathlon.
克罗地亚。
Croatia hosted the second Military World Games in 2003.
Denmark.
And this time it's sending 11 athletes. Denmark is sending 61 athletes. They are going to participate. They're going to compete in naval, pentathlon, and shooting.
吉布提。
The 3 athletes from Djibouti are competing in track and field competitions.
Dominican Republic.
多米尼加。
Egypt.
And Greg, as we mentioned just now, that this is expected to be the largest military world games in the event's history. 329 events in 27 categories.
UAE.
And this, of course, will feature the most participants in the game's 24-year history.
We're looking forward to it, absolutely. I mean, with all these athletes around the world coming in, we're going to see some of the best competition. This is the second largest sporting event outside of the Summer Olympics that China has ever hosted. So fantastic to be here and part of this.
And of course, there are some sports here that are hard to miss. For example, we talked about parachuting, military pentathlon, aeronautical pentathlon. And these are events that are really different from the other sporting events, major international sporting events that people are more familiar with.
Spain.
西班牙。
And following the athletes' march into the stadium, we are expected to see the opening ceremony, which will feature
Estonia.
some grand performances. And a 3D stage will also be a highlight of the opening ceremony.
United States.
美国。
The United States is also a veteran delegation to the Military World Games. 182 athletes will be competing in 14 different events.
Finland.
芬兰。
Well, the flagman of the Finland delegation is an athlete from the aeronautical pentathlon. 52 athletes will be competing in 10 different events.
France.
法国。
296 athletes from France are expected to compete in badminton, the military pentathlon, triathlon, and parachuting.
Gabon.
加蓬。
Greece.
希腊。
The Military World Games comparing to the Olympics, because Greece now is entering the stadium. Otherwise, Greece will be on the second to last or the first to be entering stadium as the original nations of the Summer Olympics of the Olympics.
Sure.
Yeah. And for these seventh Military World Games, there were quite some dramatic difference compared to last six editions. Like this will be the first one held in the 5G network transportation and communication.
And of course, that technology will be a game changer for not only the coverage of the sporting event, but also the way that it is presented in the stadium. And the incorporation of the latest technology will certainly be a highlight for the organization of the sporting event.
I heard that in Wuhan now more than 520 5G net bases, just providing service for these Military World Games.
That's certainly remarkable.
India.
印度。
And here comes the Indian delegation. 54 athletes will be competing in 10 events. Hyderabad hosted the 4th World Military Games in
Indonesia.
2007.
印度尼西亚，
Here comes the Indonesian delegation, and the flag person is a parachuting athlete.
Iran,
伊朗，
101 athletes from Iran will compete in 14 events. Again, if you've just joined us, this is our special coverage of the opening ceremony of the 7th Military World Games.
Ireland,
爱尔兰，
Wuhan is hosting the 7th Military World Games, and
Italy,
the games are expected to be the largest in its history. Italy is sending a delegation of 152, and Italy has hosted the Military World Games twice
Yeah,
in
the
its
first one.
24-year history.
Yeah, first one was 1996 in Rome, I think, in the capital city.
Jordan,
约旦，
And also we forgot to mention that Italy now ranks the third
Kazakhstan.
in the medal list of military world games, so they are very powerful in this competition.
Can you tell us about the first and the second?
Russia, China, Italy, Brazil, and South Korea. Then we're going to Poland, France, Germany,
Kenya,
PRK, and Ukraine.
We certainly look forward to their performances and some black horses from other countries.
Kuwait,
科威特，
And to be frankly with you guys, I really learned some new English words, for preparation for this opening ceremony. I really have no idea what pentathlon would be about, even I covered quite a few Olympics in the past.
Lesotho,
Yeah, those are some of the words that even a veteran sports commentator like you have to look up.
And personally, I would be greatly interested in pioneering.
Sure, just to
Yeah, in the military sense, that would be even more challenging.
right, just to give our viewers a better sense of the military pentathlon, what it is. It is a poly-athletic competition consisting of 5 events: shooting, obstacle run, obstacle swimming, throwing, and cross-country running.
Lebanon,
And Greg, which discipline have you taken among these 5?
Of all of them that I've seen so far, again, these pentathlons, but the aeronautical pentathlon, that would be me. I'd be all over that.
Lithuania,
立
You're
陶
the
宛，
iron guy.
Luxembourg,
卢森堡，
Now here comes the Luxembourg
North
delegation.
Macedonia,
There's 14
北马其
athletes.
顿，
North Macedonia is sending 3 athletes competing in track and fields events.
Morocco,
摩洛哥，
24 athletes from Morocco will compete in boxing, parachuting, taekwondo, and track and field.
Monaco.
摩纳哥。
Mongolia.
2 athletes from Monaco. The Mongolian delegation is sending 68 athletes to compete in 9 events.
Well, we can see these people are really big guys, tough guys, whether it's in equestrian or weightlifting.
And that's why the Military World Games are also referred to as the Olympics for the military, for soldiers.
Yes.
Myanmar.
缅甸。
Well, the Military World Games happens every 4 years. It was first held in 1995 in Rome. And the 7th World Military Games will conclude on October 27th. It will run for 10 days.
Right, so this competition is still somewhat in its infancy as games go, but obviously the scale of them is getting bigger each time, and China is setting a new benchmark, obviously, so it'll be interesting to see what goes on at the next one 4 years from now, because this is going to only encourage other soldier athletes to take part, to get out there and show what they've got.
Absolutely.
Nigeria.
And China hosted the 2008 Summer Olympics, and the 7th World Military Games will be the 2nd largest sporting event to be held in China after that.
Yeah, and it's a great opportunity for China to show its sports project and manufacturing capability, because all those volunteers and related workers, they are all dressed in China-made, China brands of sporty goods.
This is also the first time in the history of the Games that all of the events will take place in one city. Very few cities in the world have the capability to stage everything. You've got including sailing events that will be taking place in East Lake. Very few venues have the capability of doing that.
And I know this city quite well. Now is the best month of the year for all kinds of outdoor sports.
Now the weather is perfect for sporting competitions, and also, as we mentioned earlier, Wuhan is a major transportation hub in central China. It has access to railways, air transportation, very convenient, and also it has 35 stadiums or sporting venues, which makes it possible to accommodate almost 9,000 athletes.
But there is one challenge for all these 9,000 athletes. If they go to the city center and enjoy some local food there, they should be prepared for the spicy
Pakistan.
food.
Exactly. But more than 10,000 volunteers are recruited to help support, to offer comprehensive support for the games and also for the athletes to get around in the city.
They do need some local guide there. It's a massive city.
Of course.
Yeah.
Netherlands.
荷兰。
We could witness some differences of this attitude group. You know, according to the global stats, Netherlands is the tallest nation in the world. I'm talking about the population. Average height of male from Holland would be above 1.8 meter high.
We could see it,
Yeah.
even on camera.
Yeah.
They've got a large group both in numbers and in stature.
Yeah.
Now the mascot, as we can see on the screen now, is named Bing Bing.
It's a fish?
In Mandarin, it is. It is a critically endangered fish.
Poland.
And this mascot is inspired by the Chinese sturgeon.
Poland is also very strong in the medalist of the past six Military World Games.
Portugal.
葡萄牙。
Qatar.
卡塔尔。
Qatar will be the host nation of the 2022 World Cup football. But in Military World Games, Qatar is also a nation very good in shooting.
Democratic People's Republic of Korea.
朝鲜。
Here comes the Democratic People's Republic of Korea delegation. It is sending a relatively big delegation.
Romania.
罗马尼亚。
We just confirmed the number. The Democratic People's Republic of Korea is sending 156 athletes to the games.
Russia.
俄罗斯。
Here comes the Russian delegation. The flagman is a very well-known diving athlete. It's a legendary figure in Russia. Russia is sending 257 athletes to compete in 19 events.
Rwanda.
卢旺达。
Senegal.
塞内加尔。
Serbia.
塞尔维亚。
Slovakia.
斯洛伐克。
So Greg, you've been covering different sporting events in the past. What are some of the events you'll be looking out for this time?
For me, some of the different ones, as Yan Chang mentioned earlier, some of these three different naval, aeronautical, and military pentathlon really sort of stand out. Another one is orienteering. Orienteering basically combines nature with running. It's a real combination of a skill of mental fortitude and also physical endurance. Contestants are given destinations to find in the forest. They've got a map and a compass and they're set loose. Some of them, hopefully they all come back.
It could be the kind of military edition of the Truman Show of Running Man. Yeah.
Sweden.
Nature is their battlefield as well as their field of competition.
We haven't mentioned kind of aeronautic pentathlon. I think that would be quite interesting, and it will be great for media coverage. You know, you need to do a lot of on the air filming of the live games.
That's right, things like
parachuting.
Exactly.
Yeah.
How do you capture some of these? Orienteering as well, the challenges for the crew to capture all of this and to translate it to us, the audience, is really a major feat.
Yeah, it's equally demanding for not only the athletes but also for crew covering their competitions. Since you mentioned this, the aeronautical pentathlon is one of the most military-focused and eye-catching competitions of the Games. It consists of ground, air, and water events, indoor and outdoor events, challenging athletes through physical, intellectual, and skills-based tests.
And media-wise, I think, kind of 5G technology could provide us with better help of covering all the sports, because we have more facilities to use, to present the game itself.
Of course, technology will be a big boost for the effectiveness as well as efficiency for the coverage of these games.
Exactly.
Syria.
叙利亚。
Here comes the Syrian delegation. 27 athletes are competing in 5 events.
Tanzania.
坦桑尼亚。
And besides the parachuting, military pentathlon, the aeronautical pentathlon, some other events are also going to be held for the first time. For example, badminton, table tennis, tennis, and men's gymnastics.
Czech Republic.
捷克。
For the past several Summer Olympics, there were some changes in sports events, like we witnessed Ironman, open water swimming. I think those sports events are similar to military World Games, especially open water swimming. I think all these service people, all these soldiers, it would be great in all these conditions.
Well, a lot of these things have their basis in that. The ancient Olympics was based off military prowess.
Yeah.
You had to run, deliver messages, you had to battle, obviously. A lot of it was
Marathon
fighting.
is also conducted by a soldier.
That's
2,000 years ago.
It. In Winter Olympics, a common game, one of the original Winter Olympic sports is biathlon.
Hunting.
Which obviously comes from countries like Norway, Austria, Finland, who had to patrol on skis and, of course, either hunt or protect
They
their
used to
territory.
call it the Nordic Games, right?
That's right. That's right.
So what do these transformations in modern sporting events tell us about the changes that have been taking place?
It's also kind of cultural heritage, of the human society's involvement.
And it's fantastic, of course, that it's now being displayed in this way. That soldiers are coming together to share spirit of competition in peace and in friendship.
I'm quite certain there will be quite a lot of interesting and even loving stories for the future 10 days, the competition and also new friendship between different delegation groups.
Our correspondent Hubei, he's been covering the games in Wuhan.
土耳其。
He had a really good name for all the series of stories that he did. It's make friends, not war.
Yeah. So I'm quite sure all these people, all these 9,000 athletes there, they will be competing hard but fair.
Ukraine.
乌克兰。
Ukraine, also a strong nation in military World Games.
The flag man of the Ukraine delegation is a
Weightlifting?
very well-known wrestler.
Yeah. So we call this power game, power sports people.
Right.
Uruguay.
87 athletes
乌拉圭。
are competing in 10 events.
Venezuela.
委内
this is our special live coverage of the opening ceremony of the 7th World Military Games. Athletes from different countries, 9,000 athletes from over 100 countries to be exact, are marching in the stadium.
Vietnam.
越南
The Military World Games are also known as the Olympics for the military, and these aren't the average sporting games that people are more familiar with. The first games were held in Rome in 1995 in commemoration of the 50th anniversary of World War II and the signing of the UN Charter. These games were successively held in Croatia, again in Italy, India, Brazil, and South Korea.
China.
And as you can see, coming up is the Chinese delegation. The host country always comes last in these marches. The flagman is a very well-known basketball coach. The Chinese delegation consists of 553 people, including 406 athletes. And this is the largest delegation sent by China to the World Military Games. And the flagman of the Chinese delegation, the well-known basketball coach, his name is Wang Zhizhi.
Well, he was also the first Chinese to play in the NBA. He took his place with the Dallas Mavericks back in the day, and he has since gone on and is now coaching in the CBA with the Bai Rockets.
And he participated in 4 different Summer Olympics as the starting center of the national team of China.
And as we mentioned just now, the Chinese delegation always made it to the top 3 of the medal table. Last time in South Korea, the Chinese delegation won 32 gold medals, 92 medals in total, including 32 golds. And out of the 406 athletes participating this time, 87 of them have had their experiences in the World Military Games, and 19 of them have won their championships in singles events.
China, of course, is one of the strongest nations traditionally at the Military World Games. They have placed in the top 3 in the medal table at all editions. So this time, obviously, they will be shooting for that #1 spot. The largest delegation, home advantage, home field advantage, as we say, and it's going to be tough to stop them.
And traditionally, the other veteran delegations also include Russia,
Russia,
the US,
China, yeah.
Brazil and France will also be vying for that top spot. Brazil came second last time, Russia first. China was third in the last Military World Games in 2015 in South Korea. But it will be hard to bet against them not topping the medal table this time around, I think.
the athletes will definitely stage some thrilling competitions over the next 10 days.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome the national flag of the People's Republic of China and the flag of the International Military Sports Council.
女士们、先生们，欢迎中华人民共和国国旗、国际军事体育理事会会旗入场。
Ladies and gentlemen, please rise for the national flag and anthem of the People's Republic of China.
女士们、先生们，请起立，升中华人民共和国国旗，奏唱中华人民共和国国歌。
Please stand for the flag and anthem of the International Military Sports Council.
升国际军事体育理事会会旗，奏国际军事体育理事会会歌。
Please be seated.
请坐。
Please welcome General Xu Qiliang, Chairman of the Organizing Committee of the 7th Season Military World Games and Vice Chairman of the Central Military Commission of the People's Republic of China.
欢迎第7届世界军人运动会组织委员会主席、中央军委副主席许其亮致辞。
尊敬的习近平主席
Your Excellency, President Xi Jinping, respected President of the CISM, Colonel Hubei Pixihiro, distinguished guests, dear friends, ladies and gentlemen, tonight, the cauldron of the 7th Season Military World Games, a symbol of peace, development, friendship, is to be ignited very soon in this stadium. At this exciting moment, on behalf of the 7th Season Military World Games Organizing Committee, I would like to extend my warmest welcome to all the athletes and officials from 109 countries and to other distinguished guests from all over the world. I would also like to express my most sincere gratitude to the International Olympic Committee, International Military Sports Council, International Sports Federations, and friends from all walks of life for your support to the 7th CWG stage in Wuhan. Since its birth, the Military World Games has aimed to commemorate peace and convey friendship. Chinese culture grows from the ancient philosophy that all people under the heaven are of one family and that all nations should live in harmony, to the nowadays advocation for building a community of a shared future for mankind, which links closely with the concept of harmony and unity. The Chinese armed force always pursue a national defense policy that is defensive in nature and take safeguarding world peace as one of their mission. All these happen to be in line with the founding purpose of the Military World Games. Under the theme of sharing friendship and promoting peace, we would like to chase the Olympic dream of faster, higher, and stronger together with friends from all over the world, thus realizing the glory of the soldiers and harvesting the understanding, trust, and friendship among them. We hope that with common efforts, the 7th CWG will be a fantastic, exceptional, and excellent military gala. I sincerely invite friends from all over the world to experience China's long history and its time-honored culture, enjoy its splendid landscape of mountains and rivers, exchange with friendly people, and witness flourishing development in the new era, which could leave you an unforgettable memory and disseminate the seeds of friendship. I wish the 7th Season Military World Games a full success.
Please welcome Colonel Avi Piccirillo, President of the International Military Sports Council.
欢迎国际军事体育理事会主席赫尔维·皮奇里洛上校致辞。
Excellence Xi Jinping,
His Excellency President Xi Jinping, dear officials, heads of delegations,
Président de la République populaire de la Chine,
and Excellency,
Président de la Commission militaire centrale, Mesdames et Messieurs,
ladies and gentlemen,
secrétaire d'État,
distinguished guests,
chef d'état-major,
dear friends,
autorité du CISM, chef de délégation officielle, chers athlètes, Mesdames et Messieurs, soyez
welcome
tous les bienvenus
to the
aux
7th
7e
season
Jeux mondiaux
Military
militaires d'été
World
du
Games.
Conseil international du sport militaire. Je voudrais commencer ce discours
I would like to begin this speech with my warmest thanks to the Chinese
au
people
peuple chinois et tout
and
particulièrement
especially
à la ville de
to the
Wuhan
city of Wuhan
et aux forces armées
and the Chinese
populaires
People's
chinoises
Liberation Army
pour leur
for their
engagement
commitment
et leur
and
enthousiasme
enthusiasm
dans
in
l'organisation
organizing
de
this
cet
exceptional
événement
military
militaire
sports
exceptionnel.
event.
Merci la Chine.
Thank you, China.
Merci Wuhan.
Thank you, Wuhan.
Vous voir ici
To see you
toutes
all
et
gathered
tous
tonight
réunis à Wuhan
in Wuhan
sous la bannière du
under
CISM
the CISM flag
me remplit de
fills
joie,
me with
de
joy,
fierté et
pride,
d'espoir.
and hope.
De joie,
With joy,
car vous incarnez
because you
ces
embody
valeurs
these
que le
values
sport
that
international
international
militaire
military sport
prône
has been
depuis
promoting
plus de
for more
70
than
ans.
70 years.
La vie de sportif
The life of an
et la
athlete
vie de militaire
and the life of a soldier
partagent
share
des
common
valeurs
values
communes
that unite
qui rassemblent la résilience,
resilience,
le courage,
courage,
l'esprit d'équipe,
team spirit,
la fraternité d'armes,
brotherhood of arms,
mais aussi
but also
le respect de
respect
l'éthique
for the ethics
fonde
that underlie every
l'engagement
soldier's
de tout
commitment
militaire
to serve
à
his
servir son
country.
pays. De la fierté ensuite,
Then with pride,
car ces Jeux
because these games
vont marquer l'histoire
will mark the
du
history
sport
of
militaire
international military
international.
sport
Par leur ampleur,
by their scale,
leur
their
retentissement
impact,
et leur
and their
excellence.
excellence.
Cette mobilisation
This unprecedented
des pays
mobilization
membres du
of CISM member nations
est sans précédent.
is a demonstration
Elle est
of your
la
commitment
démonstration
to
de votre
CISM's
attachement
military
aux
values
valeurs militaires du CISM
and your
et de
willingness
votre volonté
to live
de
together
vivre
for
ensemble
the duration
pendant la durée
of
de
these
ces Jeux.
games.
Le village des athlètes
The athletes' village
est un exemple
is an example
d'intégration urbaine,
of urban
de
integration,
respect
respect
des enjeux
for environmental
environnementaux
issues,
et de
and
lieu de
a
partage
place to
qui
share
laissera
that will leave a
un
legacy
héritage aux futures
for future
générations.
generations.
Enfin d'espoir,
Finally, with hope,
dans ce monde incertain,
in this uncertain
nous
world,
envoyons ensemble
we're sending
au
a
monde
message
entier
of
un
fraternity,
message
solidarity,
de solidarité, de tolérance
tolerance,
et d'amitié.
and friendship to the
Ce
whole
soir,
world together.
Vous êtes
Tonight,
et tous les
you are
ambassadeurs
all ambassadors
de la paix
for peace
dans le monde.
in the world.
Je vous souhaite donc
I therefore
bonne
wish
chance.
you good luck.
Vivez ce moment
Leave this
en
moment
étant
filled
rempli
with
de
joy,
joie, de fierté
pride,
et d'espoir.
and hope.
Soyez
Be
heureux
happy and have fun.
et prenez du plaisir
While always keeping in
en
mind
ayant toujours
CISM's
à l'esprit
universal and timeless
la devise
motto,
du
friendship
universelle
through
et intemporelle, l'amitié par le sport.
sport.
谢谢。
谢谢. Thank you.
Now a video message from Mr. Thomas Bach, President of the International Olympic Committee.
欢迎 国际奥林匹克委员会主席托马斯·巴赫先生视频致辞。
Mr. President of the People's Republic of China, Your Excellency Xi Jinping, Dear President of CISM, Colonel Hervé Piccirillo, dear athletes, as you gather in Wuhan for the 7th CISM World Summer Games under the motto, Share Friendship, Build Up Peace, you are sending an important signal to the world. By having the best athletes from armed forces of over 100 countries come together in friendship and respect, you are setting a great example of the power of sport to bring together all people in peaceful competition. In this context, I congratulate CISM under the leadership of Colonel Hervé Piccirillo, as well as the wonderful Chinese hosts for making this possible. This event comes at a very special moment for China. It is the 70th anniversary of the People's Republic of China. Therefore, I would like to congratulate President Xi Jinping and all Chinese people on this great event. In sport, all people are equal, regardless of their race, gender, cultural background, or political belief. Sport always builds bridges. Sport never erects walls. In this spirit, I wish all the athletes all the very best for these Military World Summer Games. Always give it your best. Always compete in the Olympic spirit of excellence, respect, and fair play. I wish you much success and a wonderful competition in this great city of Wuhan. All the very best to all of you.
Ladies and gentlemen, to take the oaths on behalf of all athletes, judges, and referees, Yuan Xingyue, Chinese volleyball player, and Wen Keming, international basketball referee.
女士们、先生们，有请中国女子排球运动员袁心玥代表全体运动员，国际级篮球裁判温克明代表全体裁判员宣誓。
我代表全体
In
运
the
动员
name of
宣
all
誓，
athletes,
为了体育的荣光，
I
军人的荣
promise
耀
that I will
我
take
们将
part
以
in the
积极
games with
饱
full
满
enthusiasm
热情的态度
and
参
vigor,
加本届军运会，恪守体育
abiding
道
by
德
the rules
遵
that
守
govern
赛
them,
会规则
respecting
尊重对手
our fellow
公平
competitors,
竞争
committing
拒绝
ourselves to a
和
fair
反对使用
competition
兴奋剂
without doping,
赛出风格
in the true
赛
spirit
出
of
水平
sportsmanship
赛出
for
友
the
谊
glory
宣誓人
of sports and the
袁心玥
military, oath taker Yuan Xingyue.
我代表全体裁判员
In the
宣
name
誓
of all the
我
judges
们
and
将
the
秉承
referees,
体育精神
I promise that we will officiate in the games with complete impartiality,
尊重和遵守
respecting
赛会
and
各项
abiding
规
by
则
all the rules
宣誓人
which govern
温
them
克明
in the true spirit of sportsmanship and professional athlete. Oath taker Wen Keming.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome His Excellency Xi Jinping, General Secretary of the CPC Central Committee, President of the People's Republic of China, and Chairman of the Central Military Commission, to open the Games.
女士们、先生们，有请中共中央总书记、中华人民共和国主席、中央军委主席习近平宣布开幕。
我宣布
Now I
第
declare
7届
the 7th
军人运动
season
会
Military World Games open.
Please watch the promotion film of the 7th season Military World Games.
请观看第7届世界军人运动会宣传片。
二战风雨，生灵涂炭。硝烟散去，和平降临。1948年2月，国际军事体育理事会成立，它以体育传友谊为宗旨，致力于让各国军人在赛场而非战场相见。1978年，中国军队正式加入国际军体理事会，开始了追求和平、传递友谊的历程。1995年5月6日，国际军体理事会在北京宣布，为纪念反法西斯战争胜利50周年，将在当年的秋天举行世界军人运动会，给世界人民带来美好的和平讯息。第1届世界军人运动会，1995年意大利罗马。参赛国93个，4017人。第2届世界军人运动会，1999年克罗地亚萨格勒布，参赛国82个，6734人。第3届世界军人运动会，2003年意大利卡塔尼亚，参赛国81个，3217人。第4届世界军人运动会，2007年印度海德拉巴，参赛国101个，4738人。第5届世界军人运动会，2011年巴西里约热内卢，参赛国109个，6100人。第6届世界军人运动会，2015年韩国文庆，参赛国102个，7045人。第7届世界军人运动会，2019年10月18日至27日，中国武汉，参赛国109个，9308人。
Trawassam mostra-de que amicizia attraverso lo sport. Em português, amizade através do esporte. Vriendschap door sport. Friendship through sport. Chongguo Wuhan. Chongguo Wuhan. Chongguo Wuhan.
Chongguo Wuhan.
Chongguo.
Welcome to Wuhan.
Wuhan is great. Chongguo Wuhan.
微笑是人类表达友谊最直接的方式，微笑是人类享受和平最真实的表情。 让我们用友谊的笑脸传递和平的薪火。
Please enjoy the performance, Torch of Peace.
请欣赏开幕式文艺表演《和平的星火》。
ceremony has begun. It'll be a two-part show. We are now watching the first part called China, a Great Nation with a Time-Honored History. This segment takes us on a journey through China's long-standing civilization. Now on the stage, we can see a portrayal of the Yellow River, the Yangtze River, and other rivers across China. Also a depiction of the longevity of Chinese civilization. program we're about to see is called The Light of Civilization. Now the screen shows the ancestors of the Chinese nation flourishing on this land. Now, as we can see the inscriptions of the Chinese characters, Tian, heaven, 地 Earth 人 Human and 和 Harmony. And these characters appear on the oracle bones. They symbolize the aspiration for peace of the Chinese sons and daughters.
This part of the show recreates the battlefields of ancient China. Now we can see nearly 2,000 soldiers forming a shield wall, along with an ancient compass and a Tai-Chi diagram, which is spread out on the stage of rows of bamboo slips. And they're bearing texts from The Art of War, a classic military reference by the ancient Chinese writer and general Sun Tzu. This part of the program is called The Path of Harmony and Unity, and it's a long-held Chinese belief that wars are fought to defend a country and its people, and to ultimately end all wars.
下为公，和衷共济，和而不同，四海一家，协和万邦，四海一家，协和万邦。
A just cause. The main contents of this poem that we're just hearing is a just cause should be pursued for the common good. People should work together toward a pursuit of harmony without uniformity. All people are one family and all nations can live in peace with one another.
Now a huge sword is being mounted. And that begins the next program, Land of Magnificence. Now this segment depicts the peaceful and prosperous times of ancient China. It portrays rural farmlands and urban marketplaces with citizens from all walks of life. Now what we're hearing right now is the recitation of the poem, How Long Will the Full Moon Appear? It was written by Su Shi, a well-known poet of the Song Dynasty. The shining moon hung high in the sky. The ancient sages together appear, manifesting a panorama of peace and prosperity.
Now we are beginning program 4 of part 1, entitled The Silk Road. Now a messenger emerges, braving the fierce desert sandstorm. He arrives bearing a scepter and a torch, which takes us to the next performance, as I mentioned, the Silk Road. We can see a vast piece of silk afloat, a camel caravan trudging its way through the desert. The scene recreates the bustling images of the ancient Silk Road. Entering the stadium now is the last program of the first chapter, Sparks of Fire. It shows scenes from modern history where Chinese people overcame many hardships and emerged as a strong player on the world stage. And here's the melody of the song, The Yellow River. Pianist Long Long is playing the piece.
And this is the second part of the performance. It's called Interlinked Roads and Diversified Civilizations. chapter of the performance will present modern China and the characteristics of the modern Chinese army, as well as China in the new era and the achievements of the Chinese army in the new era. The first program of interlinked growth and diversified civilization is beginning. It's called the Forces of Peace. As you can see, 1,800 Chinese soldiers in blue helmets are marching into the arena. They represent the Chinese soldiers who have participated in UN peacekeeping operations.
Now in the stadium, guided by the torch that represents the ire of peace, youngsters from different countries gather together and bring us this performance, A New World.
Seeing the Belt and Road performance. The China-EU Railway, the Fuxing High-Speed Railway. Well, this performance aims to show how the project seeks to bring joy, hope, and anticipation to all of the people in the countries along the Belt and Road route.
performance, we can see a great tree growing out of the ground. It's a tree of hope, and it represents the planet that all of us human beings share. All human beings echo the same voice and move in the same direction, jointly planning for peaceful development and safeguarding the peace of the world. Building a world of lasting peace, universal security, common prosperity, openness, inclusiveness, cleanness, and beauty, and promoting the building of a community with a shared future for mankind.
Ladies and gentlemen, please watch the torch relay video of the 7th CISM Military World Games.
女士们、先生们，请观看第7届世界军人运动会火炬传递视频。
2019年8月1日，江西南昌，东方第一缕阳光照进8·1起义纪念馆，点燃了第7届世界军人运动会的圣火。象征着和平荣光的军运会火炬传递，在8·1广场正式拉开帷幕，开启了创军人荣耀、助世界和平的传递征程。9月21日，国际和平日。到访43个国家、履行和谐使命的海军和平方舟医院船迎来了军运会火炬。9月23日，被联合国授予和平荣誉勋章的中国首支维和步兵营所在部队接过了军运会火炬。9月25日，军运会火炬传到基辅利比里亚执行维和运输任务的联勤保障部队某旅。10月16日，军运会火炬传递到武汉。自2015年5月21日正式成为第7届世界军人运动会承办城市以来，历经1600多个日夜的精心筹备，武汉即将迎来世界瞩目、激动人心的军运时间。此时此刻，我军优秀田径选手张文秀高擎着火炬跑进了第7届世界军人运动会开幕式的现场。
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome the torch of the 7th CISM Military World Games.
女士们、先生们，欢迎第7届世界军人运动会火炬入场。
The first torchbearer is Wang Hao, Deputy Captain and Coach of the PLA Bai table tennis team. He is a 2-time Olympic gold medalist and 3-time gold medalist of men's singles at the World Table Tennis Championships.
第1棒火炬手王浩，81乒乓球队副队长、教练员，曾2次获得奥运冠军，3次获得世乒赛男单冠军。
The second torchbearer is Jin Yongde, deputy captain and coach of the PLA Bayi shooting team, with 26 World Championship titles.
第2棒火炬手金永德，81射击队副队长、教练员，曾获得26个世界冠军。
The third torchbearer is Wang Tanglin, an athlete of the PLA Bayi military pentathlon team and 10-time CISM military pentathlon champion.
第3棒火炬手王唐林，81军事5项队运动员，曾获得10次国际军体军事5项世锦赛冠军。
The fourth torchbearer is Jiao Liuyang, coach of the PLA Bayi life-saving team. She won the 200-meter butterfly gold medal and set a new Olympic record at the 2012 London Summer Olympics.
第4棒火炬手焦刘洋，81水上救生队教练员，曾获2012年伦敦奥运会女子200米蝶泳冠军，并打破奥运会纪录。
The fifth torchbearer is Yang Jing, player of the PLA Bayi volleyball team, winner of the 2015 FIVB Volleyball Women's World Cup, and many-time Asian Women's Volleyball Champion.
第5棒火炬手杨俊基，81排球队运动员，2015年获得女排世界杯冠军，曾多次获得女排亚锦赛冠军。
The sixth torchbearer is Wang Shuang. She is a footballer born in Wuhan, member of the Chinese women's national team, and AFC Women's Player of the Year in 2018.
第6棒火炬手王霜，中国女子足球队武汉籍球员，2018年获得亚洲足球小姐称号。
7th torchbearer is Liu Yudong, captain and senior coach of the PLA Bayi basketball team and flag bearer of the Chinese sports delegation in 2 Olympic Games.
第7棒火炬手刘玉栋，81篮球队队长、高级教练，2次担任奥运会中国代表团旗手。
Now we are about to see the lighting of the flame for the World Military Games. The World Military Games in Wuhan. The flame will keep running for the next 10 days throughout the duration of the Games. As we mentioned, this will be the largest World Military Games in the event's history. About to hear the theme song of the 7th World Military Games, and it's called The Torch of Peace. Celebrity singers are being surrounded by volunteers as well as mascot Bing Bing.
薪火传递，携手同行，四海皆是兄弟。
迎着梦，我们充满了勇气，一起携手相连，共同呼吸。
梦着你，和平薪火传递，携手同行，四海皆是兄弟。
Ladies and gentlemen, this is the end of the opening ceremony of the 7th Season Military World Games. Good night.
We were watching live feed from Wuhan, the opening ceremony of the World Military Game. It was indeed a treat to the eyes and the ears.
A fantastic spectacle. Of course, China has an incredible tradition in putting on really grand opening ceremonies, and this one did not disappoint.
Sure. And for me, it was like mostly a journey through time and space. Time in the sense that we saw from the very beginning of the Chinese civilization to its struggle to heal from wars and all the way to its modern day glory. In space, we were seeing this astronaut traveling in space, and also it highlights the point that China's development involves cooperating with other countries, especially along the Belt and Road. And also the spirit of peace loving was being highlighted in the opening ceremony. We saw the theme song, it was Torch of Peace, and also the peacekeepers. China is the largest contributor to UN peacekeeping operations, and the blue helmets were also featured in the opening ceremony.
That's right, of course, as you're saying, these are the Military World Games, but their very focus is about promoting peace. It's all of this message, and it certainly came across throughout. Another big factor in this, of course, is technology.
Sure, and all these contents have been presented in an amazing way by this 3D stage.
The largest ever 3D stage, and we saw it really give a spectacular display there. We saw everything. I mean, there was even at times in the water scenes, I wasn't sure if it was actually water or not until you see the performers really wading in there. But they had all levels, incredible visual effects, blending what was really happening with, of course, the 3D technology. We'll be looking forward to more of that as the games go on, certainly. And speaking of the games, we've got a whole bunch of events.
Sure.
10 days of sports to look forward to. We're on the cusp of that.
And we repeatedly mentioned the military pentathlon, the aeronautical pentathlon, and of course there's more to expect. What are some of the events that you look forward to seeing most?
Well, some of those obviously because they combine some regular sports. We've got swimming, running, obstacle course running. I mean, that's fantastic. Seeing an athlete navigate some of these barriers, climbing up ropes, marching across beams. It's got a bit of everything. There's gymnastics, there's athletics, there's a little bit of everything.
And it's going to be a test to both the mind and the body.
That's right.
All right, and that'll do it for our special live broadcast of the opening ceremony of the 7th World Military Games. And now we leave you with some highlights of the opening ceremony. I'm Wang Mengmeng in Beijing.
I'm Greg Lafredi saying thank you very much.
Thank you. Goodbye.
第7届世界军人运动会开幕。